Thank you. We are good.
Alrighty. So we are a Canvas campus. That's the LMS that we're using. So I'm just literally in my shell that I'm going to be using for the fall semester for my general chemistry class. Now, the way Real Chem is integrated with my Canvas, so all the grades just sink in quite nicely. Uh, I'll talk more about some of the other one issue that I've had, which continues on, but there's a workaround it that I'll share with you as well. But in the way I actually have my students access a Real Chem is through this embedded link that I've made. It's like an external tool that I add to my modules. And this is the way they should be accessing it because it helps it open up in a different window. And then it literally takes them to the Real Chem platform so that they don't have any issues with any kind of bugs or anything like that. There shouldn't be. But we basically don't want Real Chem opening up within Canvas itself because that's when there could be some features that may not come through properly. So I do have it set up here in the left navigation bar as well in Canvas. But when I demo this to them, to my students, I will literally just point this link out so that they go to the right link. So if I click on this link, it will open up a separate tab for me and it will load in a new window. So we'll go there. And Hal actually helped me set up all of this, so he's great to work with the bookstore. They take care of all the back end work, and he even actually worked with our Canvas administrator to get Real Chem within our Canvas. And it's been there for about 2 years now, and it's literally just a link that I have to put in there, and it's been working great. So as instructor, you will end up at this landing page here, which is the manage page. This is basically going to be the page where you can set up the course the way you want it to. One of the first things that you should do, and what I do, is actually go into the customized content link. And the reason for this is we cover Gen Chem in a different order. We don't do atoms first, and Gen Chem by default in Real Chem is set up as an atoms first approach. So that's one of the things I need to change is the order of the material, the way the students will review it. And then the second thing that we do is under liquids and solids, we actually don't cover unit cells. So I remove that section from Real Chem as well. So you do have the ability to customize it the way you want it. If there's any other units that don't work for you, you can remove them, and all you have to do is just remove or move, depending on what you want to do. I do know of instructors who are in larger universities and they're actually on the quarter system, so they actually have to make even more modifications and condense the material depending on what they're covering in their 12 weeks or so, whatever their term is. So that's the first thing that you should be doing before you make any other changes. And then you want to make sure that you save everything. Oh, sorry, it was on the top here. You want to save it. It'll be highlighted blue if you've made any changes, and then you want to save that before you go do anything else. So I've actually already set that up for myself for the fall semester. So this is the order that I want to follow. And then I'm going to go back into my manage page here. And then I can actually make other changes that I usually do for my class. The next thing I usually go to is scheduling and assessment settings. And here you can see the entire the units that you've already set up on that previous page. And if you click on this blue link here, button here, set schedule, you should ideally pick all 7 days of the week so that it gives you material kind of covering all 7 days, and then click continue, and it gives you kind of a rough estimate of when the students should be doing the assignments, reading a Real Chem, and just an idea of whatever term that you have, whether it's 16-week term or 14-week term. It'll divide up those weeks for you quite nicely. modifications to this. If the first unit doesn't take you more than a week to finish, you can finish it in half a week. You can just kind of move this bar and make it smaller so that, it kind of gives the students an idea that, okay, this is what I should be doing so I don't fall behind. And all of these will show up on their end, on the calendar part within RealCam. I'll show you that in just a second as well. And that way they know what they should be doing. Even though, we set these calendars up, I do make it a practice that I send reminders to them every week, that these are the assignments that are due. This is where you will find them, and that way, they can keep up with them. The other thing with this page is the appendices here. Because they're part of the course, it does take into account that, let's say it's a 16-week semester that you have. It will give a time period where the students should be, quote unquote, interacting with the appendices. Obviously, we don't want that. Appendices are just there for references. So I would usually just remove this part right here and then work on the other units and expand them so that, there's enough time to cover all the material. So that's one thing you want to make sure that you do that. Hal, did I
Yeah,
get that correctly? Yep.
you may be unaware that there is a new feature now that literally lets
Oh,
you remove them technically. If you right click on the blob, there will be a remove from schedule.
the
So
blob.
if you scroll down to unit 11, the first appendix, and you right
Okay.
click on the blob under line 11, the actual colored blob.
Oh, this one right here. Oh, this one. Sorry, this guy
Right.
right here.
Yep.
Got.
Right
Oh,
right click on it and remove from schedule.
let me
And
move
then when
this.
you remove all
Ah,
of the appendices and the glossary and all that stuff that doesn't need to be there, the rest of the
perfect.
schedule will fill in that gap.
Perfect. Perfect. There we go. In 2 weeks, there's been so much development. So I will go ahead and make that change right now. Even the glossary I will remove, and
And
I
just so
will
everybody's aware, this doesn't remove availability. It does not, the students can still access these things. It only removes them from the scheduling piece so that they're not these things are no longer recommended to have been read by a certain date.
right. Perfect. So that makes things a lot easier. I will actually not save these changes just yet because I still want to. I'm still working on my course, building it up for the semester. So I want to make sure it kind of aligns with my syllabus. But ideally, once you're satisfied with everything here, you'd want to save changes, and it should kind of translate to the other schedule that I usually look at in order to make changes with the due dates and when things are going to be available. So I will show that to you all next. If I go back to manage, I'm gonna just leave it and leave it alone for now. And we're gonna go to um this was assessment settings again. But this time around we're gonna go to the second bar, assessment settings. And this is kind of the page that I usually end up working with for the most part of the semester. um the way I integrate RealChem with my course is I've done different things. I've made these module checkpoints, which are kind of like a summary page with a short little quiz at the end of each module within the unit itself, as homework grades for students. And these homework grades are available to my students for the entire semester. So as you can see, it says always available. I will change that to the date when we begin covering this material in class, but it will remain open till the very last day of classes. For us, that's going to be December 7th. So they have the entire time period to work on this. There's no kind of, dark cloud of due dates looming over them. And it avoids a lot of issues that I've noticed in the past, whether giving them extensions or whatnot. It just kind of eliminates all of those issues for me. So that's what I've done in the past, and I will continue doing this also. So those are the module checkpoints that I will set up. The other thing are the unit checkpoints. Now these are a bit of a longer quiz at the end of each unit. So let's say you're covering thermochemistry. Once all the concepts of thermochemistry are finished, then there's a unit checkpoint at the very end, and it covers the entire unit. So I use these unit checkpoints as a quiz for my students, and I will make these available to the students only for a 1 week period. So there is a set time when it's open, there is a set time when it's closed, and obviously because it's a slightly higher stakes assignment, I am a little bit strict on due dates for this. I do usually give them 3 attempts on the unit checkpoints, and there is no time limit, so they can take as long as they want. Now, usually I give my students a quiz every week on the material that we covered, but obviously units like thermochemistry, they take a little bit longer to finish, so I do have shorter quizzes for them that are already embedded in my Canvas. And that way they kind of keep up with that with studying and keeping up with the material, but then this big quiz will come after we finished all of thermochemistry. So again, I haven't set any of my available dates yet because, like I said, I'm working with my syllabus, so I want to make sure I get translated all the dates in here properly. But I've already set up my due dates for the module checkpoints because I know that is going to be the last day of classes for them. So all the homework must be submitted by then. The other features that I wanted to kind of show all of you is the late policy, allow late start, late submit. I will probably end up changing that to disallow a late submit because, December 7th is going to be my hard deadline for them. So that's something that I will end up changing. Whoops. Scoring strategy, because I'm giving them 3 attempts, I do leave this as the best one, whatever their highest score is. I usually don't set up a grace period for them in here, so that will remain 0. And then the other one that I will keep is going to be either a targeted or a normal score for their quizzes. Now, this is a feature that is usually for the quizzes is what I'll keep this for. The targeted one would be for if they've taken the quiz one time, and let's say they've gotten 5 questions incorrect and they want to use a second attempt for it, only the questions that were incorrect will be the ones that they would have to answer again to get a better grade. So with 3 attempts, let's say 5 questions were wrong on the first attempt, they'll go back a second time, maybe they get 3 of them correct again. And then on the third attempt, if they choose to do it, only 2 of those questions that they answered incorrectly, they will be the ones that will pop up. And those will be the ones that they would have to answer. So essentially, they can get 100% on the quiz. So that would be the targeted one. And then the normal one, oh no, I messed this one up, didn't I? No, that is correct. That is correct. The scoring is a different one. And then the normal would be that every attempt they would have to retake the entire quiz every time they choose to use one of their attempts. So it's up to you how you want to do it. My setting would be on the targeted one, only targeting the questions that they've answered incorrectly. Then the other one would be the scoring setting over here. So there's a score at the end and a score as you go. Again, it's a personal choice. I would end up leaving this as score at the end. The difference between the two is that let's say the students are answering 10 questions in a quiz, and if they answer, let's say 1 question, it will give them a score, whether they've answered it correctly or not. So they would know how they're doing as the quiz progresses. Let's say you choose to do like an 80% benchmark for the quizzes, and that way the students, if they've answered 80% of correct questions, then they can stop taking the quiz and be done with it. The issue with that is the way the quizzes are set up in RealChem, there's slightly easier concepts in the beginning of the quiz, and then slightly difficult concepts towards the end, more word problems towards the end, a little bit more numerical questions towards the end. So I personally want my students to attempt all the questions, the easy and the difficult ones, so that they would have to submit the quiz at the very end and then get a score, and then they can see what they've answered incorrectly. So I would leave this as score at the end. But if you choose to do like a mastery level quiz that, okay, 80% is your benchmark, then this is something that you may want to consider is score as you go. All my other settings pretty much remain as the default ones. I never set any passwords there. You know, they're open for them, either depending on if it's a homework or if it's a quiz. Either they're open for the entire week or the entire semester. Exceptions, I only put those in as issues arise. So as default, they will just remain as a 0. Yes, Robert?
Um, have you tried the setting for replacement where it says dynamic questions, and is there a reason why you stick with all questions remain the same for all attempts?
The questions, this one right here,
Yes.
I have actually not set that, but this is something, yeah, I would probably consider it. Yeah, regenerate a new question when they do an attempt. Yes, I would probably do this one for sure. For sure, yeah. I don't want them to answer the same question, obviously. And there's a pool, so yeah, so they should be getting a new question. I agree with you completely. Yep. Anything else I can answer over here? Okay, so that's basically my main settings that I have for the students. Let me go back to the manage page here. When the students, what they will see on their end, you can also see this if you go under preview course as student. It does open up in a separate window. And basically all your assignments that you set up in Real Chem for the students, they'll show up here where they have the upcoming assignments that they would need to do. And of course the agenda as well. Like I said, mine's not set up yet, so nothing is going to show up. And then I will also be assigning students these explorations. So the setting is going to be the same under assessments as I showed you. I give them 3 attempts on the explorations as well. And I think they have about 6 or 7 explorations now. Of these 6 or 7, I usually end up assigning about 3 to 4 explorations for the students. And the way I use these is as a lab for our students. And it's a simulation. So last semester I taught this as a hybrid class. So I actually gave time to students during the class period to do this. And then I left it open for them for the entire week so that if they wanted to go back and do another attempt at them, they would still have access to this outside of the classroom time as well. So I did give them that liberty. But these are really good ones. There's one in here that I really like is the one on the lead concentrations. This one right here is a town toxic, and it actually talks about Flint, Michigan as one of the cities where the water sample can be tested for lead contamination. And that's kind of like, it was in the news. So that's something the students can really relate to and when they're thinking about these problems. So that's one I assign. I also assign this one right here on spectroscopy. This usually comes in when we're talking about electronic structure and starting with quantum chemistry. And then I've also done the greenhouse emissions. And this one right here, do you really want to drink the elements of water? So these are the ones that I've done so far, but I think I might end up doing this climate change one as well. And I will assign that this semester. The other section that I will assign students is going to be a discussion. This is the first time I will be using this feature. So let me go back to the instructor view here. So these discussions, they have been embedded in Real Chem for probably the second semester it started. It wasn't in the beginning, but it came pretty fast after that. But I did assign it to them, but this semester, as I said, I will. And usually what I will do is, what I'm thinking of doing is, you know, getting students to interact with the platform, put questions in there and interact with each other as well. My class this semester is fully online, so that's one way to kind of keep them going. And be able to talk to their classmates and me as well, and you know, really get them focused on some of the questions and problems that they may encounter with the material itself. Now for this, I did set up my settings here, and I said that I don't want an anonymous post. I actually want to see their names there. But this one I did check off and say that, okay, they should be able to post without any approvals. So this is going to be a participation grade for students, and you can view their activity if you click on this discussion activity. Obviously nothing is there right now, so you won't be able to see much. But I'm hoping this would be something successful as well. I can report back later once I have more data on this. And then the other feature that I will also be assigning students is going to be under practice here. These practice problems came in probably a year, maybe a little bit before that, but I never made this as an assignment for, but I'm actually going to give these as bonus points for students if they complete these before an exam. So I will ask them to, it's an option for them. I won't make it mandatory, but the incentive will be that, I can probably increase your exam grades a little bit if they end up finishing these. Depending on which sections we're covering, I will assign these practice problems to them for those particular sections. So there's quite a few problems in here, which is good. And I do give students additional problems as well. I do have a philosophy that the more you practice, the better you get. So this is not what's limited. This is not what they're limited to. I have other problems that I give them. It's just a worksheet that I've made, even before Real Chem was Real Chem. So I just keep using that over and over again to keep giving problems to the students. I will also be looking at their participation grade. So under, I think it was under notes. Sorry, I'm in the student view now. I should go in the instructor view. So under here, under insights, I think it was. Let me go under insights. There's a little, right here, this little CSV, an Excel file that you can download. And this will show you how the students, how much the students have participated with the platform itself. Obviously, there's 0 right now, but eventually when the students are in this course, you should be able to see their progress. And I'm kind of looking at an 80% benchmark here. So if they've participated 80% of the time with this platform, that's basically 100% participation for me in their course. So they'll get, let's say, 10 points for that as a participation grade, which will count towards their final grade as well. So I think that was it for me. I can open it up for questions, and if something else comes up, I'm more than happy to share that with you all. Let me see, there's a question in the chat there. No, so the unit checkpoint is not the same as the module checkpoint. Module checkpoints are shorter, and they only cover, let's say, 2 or 3 concepts that are on a single page. The unit checkpoint is for the entire unit, so the entire chapter. A difference would be, let's say, thermochemistry. Let's say you're covering internal energy in thermochemistry. You'll go through that entire module, and then towards the end of that module, after 6 or 7 pages, there'll be a module checkpoint that will just be covering questions on internal energy. But in thermochemistry, there's internal energy, there's enthalpy, if you're doing bond energies. So you'll cover all of those topics, and then at the very end of all of these topics, there'll be a unit checkpoint, which will cover everything, which is why a unit checkpoint becomes a little bit more comprehensive. And it's a little bit more longer as well. And that's why I think it's more appropriate to use it as a quiz for that entire chapter itself. Karen?
Okay, so I do the same thing actually. I just piloted this in the summer, and I did the same thing that you did. I used the unit checkpoints as a quiz. The module checkpoints, though, I used it as a participation grade. It was a homework, and then I looked at how they were participating. One of the things that I noticed when I downloaded that the CSV file is that some people for example, unit 1, I guessed it. I don't know if there are 56 problems, but the point value was 56.
Okay.
And some students completed everything. They got 100% participation. You know, it showed if they got 80% or 90% or what.
Right.
But then I saw some students who it's registering as 90%, but when I looked at how much work they've done compared to the other students, so the other students had like a total value of 56, and they might have done all 56 or part of it. This particular student, they did 6 something out of 7, and they got a 90% grade. So I looked at it as like, you know, the percentage, I can't just use the percentage because
No.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, you can't look at the percentage. I actually go in there to see their progress, basically.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
did, but I
Yeah.
was wondering if there were, you know, if I was reading it incorrectly or something.
Right, right. Yeah, so
Mhm.
usually it shows up as points in Canvas. So that's what you want to I mean, depends how you want to look at, like you want to look
I
at
look at it as
percentage, you want to look at participation, right? So
Right.
I look at participation.
Right.
Yes.
But so how would you handle though the people who got 6 out of 7 versus the people who got 56 out of 56 for the same assignment? That was my issue.
So then did you look at the participation and see who was participating more?
Yes, the people who did 56 out of it, they were
Right.
the
So
ones that
that's the
participated.
grade that I would look at then.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a participation grade for me also. And I don't look at correctness. I look at
Right. I'm just looking
completeness.
at participation.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then the other thing too is that within the same assignment, well, like you see, some had 56, some had for the earlier assignments, like units 1, 2, 3, they were all the same. But then a little bit later on, for the more difficult chapters, it seemed the participation
It drops.
was different.
Yep.
The total value was different for each student almost. And I'm wondering what that means. Does that mean that, you know, they skipped over some questions? Did they skip it because they already mastered it and they therefore don't need to do it? It's more like an adaptive thing, or, you know, by choice, they figured they had no time, so they just skipped over it and, you know, yeah.
For me, the pattern that I've noticed over the years, and it's not just with this real chem itself, over the years, the general pattern has been after about thermochemistry, they are tuned out.
Yes,
So getting them to participate, you know, and keep going is a challenge. So that's why I think you just have to kind of get inventive with that, and you know, keep giving them incentive that okay, keep doing this, keep going, because this is not only half the course yet, right? So
Yes.
and like I said, we're not even atoms first. So after thermochemistry, I still have to do quantum chemistry with them.
Right.
I still have to
I
do
have the same order you have actually.
okay. Okay.
Or similar, very similar to what you have. So I did
Right.
go through and I rearranged it and everything like this.
Right, right. And I tell them at the very beginning, I said, you know what, until about mid-November, things are going to be challenging. And after mid-November, we'll be okay. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so,
And then I also had those people who really did nothing throughout the semester. You know, I had a 5-week semester. So they really did nothing. And then, you know, realized, okay, the final we're in the week of the final, and the week of the final, that's when they went and tried to do everything.
yep,
So of course.
precisely. And that's the other reason why I leave my homework open for the
Open,
entire semester, right?
Yeah,
Because it's literally killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Number one, I completely eliminated the issues of professor, my dog died. I didn't finish my homework. Can you open it up for 2 more days? No, I'm not going to do it because it's a hassle, right? So I'm like, it's going to remain open.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what the issue is. You have whether you want to do it the night before the all the homework is due, all the power to you. Or if you want to pace yourself and do it over the, you know, as you should be doing, that's up
Right.
to you too. And
Right.
eventually, my goal is that let's say after the first midterm, they realize that you know you really can't study the night before for an exam and think that it's going to be okay to do it. You
Yeah.
should be studying every day, every week, and that way you're not overwhelming yourself. So it kind of puts the onus on them as well that you have to be responsible for your learning. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm just going to give you what needs to be done, and
Right.
you do the way you wanted to do it.
Right.
So it's good and bad. To be honest with you, and I haven't had any complaints. That's the big thing. I've eliminated all of those issues.
Right, right.
Yeah, so it's a challenge. Azwana, you're muted, Azwana.
Sorry. How do you assign different, like if you are assigning something as a homework, something as quiz or bonus, where do you make that difference?
So I actually tell them that in my syllabus. I tell them that, we have these platforms that we're using. The module checkpoints will be a homework grade, and then the unit checkpoints will be a quiz grade. And the way I remind them is I can show it to you in my Canvas shell. I'll just go back here. And under modules, I can show you the very first one. And so let's say this is like my week 1 here. Under homework, I will put, so I am actually using Pearson as well for homework. Like I said, my philosophy is as many questions as I can give them to prepare them. Even the Pearson homework for them is optional, so they can choose to do it or not. So this is my Pearson homework, but the other one is right here. So the OLI Taurus one. And then I usually give them a little blurb that this is what you should be doing. Here's the link to the OLI one that I showed you in the module. This is the unit that you should be reading. These are the different pages you should be reading. The grading is, it's a bonus, and you must complete it in its entirety to get the full bonus points. So I give them all of this every week, that, this is what you should be keeping up with. And then for the quiz, it goes under the quiz section. No quiz on the first week, but the second week, let's say I go here, this is what I'll tell them. This is your weekly quiz. It's a quiz on OLI. It's going to be on this topic right here, Foundations of Chemistry, unit checkpoint. And then I will tell them that, okay, this is the quiz that we're covering. Here's the link for it. This is the unit checkpoint. It's going to be due by this date. Of course, it has to change right now, by this time. And attempts allowed is going to be 3. So the total points for each quiz vary. So I will tell them that as well. And that way, hopefully they should be doing this. The other thing I do is, that's one of my my issues with RealChem, is that the calendar that you set up in RealChem doesn't sync with Canvas. So the reminders to the students is a bit of a hassle to kind of remind them that you need to go to OLI, to RealChem and, do these quizzes. So I do set up dummy assignments in my calendar in Canvas, which puts them in the calendar in Canvas as well. And that also reminds them that, okay, they need to go to OLI and do this. But this is the big one that I showed them, that this needs to be completed. And then the other thing I do is at the beginning of each week, I send them an announcement which has their entire schedule for the week. So I'll show you the one for example, for week 2. My weeks are usually set up from a Monday to a Sunday. So I'll send this announcement out on the Sunday before it opens up, tells them what we're covering. These are the different assignments, a lab that they have to do, homework, it's optional, a discussion, and here's the quiz that we're doing, and it's going to be due on this date. So this is another way of me reminding them, okay, these are the tasks that you have to do each week. How you do them, when you do them, is up to you. So those are things that I do with them.
Okay, thank you. So the grades, how will be the grades? You do it separately?
The breakdown of the grades?
Yeah.
The breakdown is different. So my quizzes are sitting at about 15% right now.
Okay.
Which is going to be the unit checkpoints and the quizzes that I have in Canvas for them. So 15% of their grade comes from there. My labs are at 20%. So that includes the explorations as well. So if those explorations that they're doing, and it's not just the explorations, obviously I have to give them some hands-on labs as well. So they are doing other things other than, outside of RealChem too. So all those labs are 20%. Then I have my participation and discussion, which is at about probably 7% is where I'm going to put that at. And then my midterms are at about 30%. And then final is, I think, 20 or 25%.
Okay, so you do those in the grade book in Canvas.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, correct, correct. Yeah. And like I said, all the grades sync in quite nicely with Canvas, so I just have to move them into that appropriate section when I set up my grade book, and the grades are just calculated automatically.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because I use Canvas also,
Uh-huh.
and I set those up in the assignments tab.
Yes,
That way, I have a column where my grade's going. And
precisely.
yeah, and I just
Yep,
loaded
it's
it.
right here. Yeah. And like I said, I'm still modifying these, so these numbers are probably not going to be accurate of what I'm doing this particular semester, but I can show them to you right here. So, right now, lecture worksheets, everything is sitting at 0. Oh, I did make these changes. So discussion sitting at 5 right now. Quizzes are 15%. Midterms, I did divide them up into, smaller section. Of that 30%, I've broken them down. And then my final is sitting at 25%. And like I said, I'm still in the building process, so these numbers probably will change a little bit as we go along. Devin, sorry.
Hello. So quick question. One of
Yes.
them is very simple, which is how do you shuffle around in the schedule again, the ordering? I was trying to grab the blocks or even the titles and it's not moving them.
You got it. I'm back here in the instructor view in OLI. If you go under
Mhm.
manage,
Mm-hmm.
you will go under scheduling and assess. Oh, sorry. Moving the blocks around, you want to go to customize content first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you will reorder the content.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and remove everything, whatever you need, or whatever the order that you want to do, and then you want to save it, and then you want to go back to manage, and under manage, under the scheduling and assessment settings, that's where you can change your bars here, and you can bring them up here by going to set schedule. And of course, it's going to pop up every time because I haven't done it on my end yet. And then you want to click continue, complete, and then the bars will show up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And the second thing I had a question about was, excuse me, for the exercises, quizzes, all that's embedded in here. I do most of my stuff as pen and paper, like pencil and paper rather, for like daily stuff. Like every time we meet, there's an in-class assignment afterwards that I turn in at the following class. So that would kind of substitute for what I imagine the module checkpoints would be, where they're checking all, like that's already doing that. And I think over giving too much is probably they're gonna just complain.
Probably.
They
Yep.
already complain about the daily assignments as it
I'm
is.
with you on that.
Whereas other students seem to want more practice. So if I wanted to just use the unit checkpoint, right, as like kind of like a summative assessment, right, where it's like, okay, you've been doing these checkpoints along the way in class, here's an external resource. If I wanted to remove everything, right, and then just have like those show up, like, and obviously I'd probably do a participation based thing because it's for their own edification at that point.
Absolutely.
So in that case, is it possible to remove the exercises except for, say, like if we just wanted to use unit checkpoints?
I've never done it, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Um,
Or is it like I guess a better question is there a way to only push those forward for visibility purposes, if that makes sense?
Maybe what you could do is under the scheduling, you could just put the due dates on the unit checkpoints and leave everything alone.
Ah, okay.
Right? I mean, just leave it open. If anybody wants to try it, let them do it. Like you said, we always have that variety of students who want more, and then you want the ones who are the complainers, right? So I would probably, my approach would be give what the people who want to do extra, let them have it, but those who don't want to have it, okay, so be it. Right? And maybe just don't put any incentive on them, and just let them decide what's appropriate for them.
Yeah, so I guess
Yeah.
it's just if I set a due date for just unit checkpoints, where it's like
Yeah.
everyone should be doing this bare
Yes.
minimum to
Precisely.
check by the end, right?
Precisely.
Here are dates that will show up at least
Yep.
on the front page because it's scheduled. Okay.
Absolutely.
And then
I've
I could
actually
just
done
say
that.
like, hey, there's all the other stuff if you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've
Okay.
actually done that before. Like I said, every semester I keep changing something or the other,
Mhm.
depending on the feedback I get from the students. And yes, I had that feedback. I'm giving too much work. I was like, okay, we won't do that then. So,
Mhm.
that's been my approach, is that, okay, I'll give you all these resources. You choose what works for you. At the end of the day, I'm a big believer in paper and pen exams also. You got to show me your competency on that at the end of the day. So how you
Mhm.
get to that is up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's been like my thing with the unit checkpoints too, is because they're so comprehensive and they're really good questions in there. Sometimes they used to boggle my mind too when I was reviewing them. So I said, okay, if they can do that to me, it's good for students to let them practice those.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So probably don't put any due dates on the module checkpoints and leave it alone. And then
Okay.
the checkpoints probably like a weekly due date if that works for you. I'd probably do that.
Yeah, the unit checkpoints. Well, I
Yes.
think the problem I might run into is that sometimes, depending on where exams fall and with
Yes.
breaks, it doesn't
Absolutely.
split quite right.
Right.
And so sometimes, like halfway through a chapter, like the unit checkpoint won't make sense because we haven't covered a couple of sections that it's looking
Absolutely.
for,
And
which I don't
right.
really know how to parse that case.
And
'Cause it
that
happens
was
pretty
that
often.
was the thing. Like I gave example of thermochemistry because usually it takes me about 2.5 to 3 weeks to cover thermochem.
Mhm.
So, but I still want them to take that unit checkpoint at the very end. So that's why I give them the smaller quizzes. And because I can't get them to do the unit checkpoint as quickly as I would like them to, so I've made
Mhm.
smaller quizzes in Canvas, which helps them retain that material until we finish all of it. And then they come back to all of it at the end of that, after we finish thermochemistry with that unit checkpoint. So maybe that's something you could consider also, just like smaller quizzes, not in real chem, but maybe on paper also. You could do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Of course.
I
Hal,
just
sorry.
wanted to add a quick tip for how to apply those dates quickly.
Okay.
If you go to assessment settings,
The bulk setting.
yeah, go to the assessment settings tab, and here, instead of having to sift through the entire thing, you can actually type in the phrase unit checkpoint, and it will trim down the list to just them, because we use
Right.
a consistent naming convention for all of them.
Yes.
And now you have just the unit checkpoints, and you can bang those out really
Precisely.
quickly without having to find them.
Precisely. Precisely. So that way, if let's say I put a due date of, I'm just going to play around with it and say, okay, September 3rd, 10:47 a.m., save, and then you just bulk apply it to.
Well, no, the dates, you can't bulk apply dates.
Oh, got it. Got it. Got it.
Because
Got it.
typically people don't want those bulk applied, so it intentionally doesn't do that. But at least they're here in a nice,
Right.
in a nice trim list.
Right. Right. And the other thing that I do want to mention is because by default, all of these checkpoints, whether it's a module checkpoint or a unit checkpoint, they are always going to be open. So I made the mistake initially of leaving them open. And what I found was that even though we're covering, let's say, I don't know, nomenclature at the very beginning of the course, students are already attempting problems in electronic structure with quantum chemistry. And I was losing students this way because they were like, this is already too hard. I was like, yes, it's too hard because we haven't even started talking about it and you're already attempting these problems. So that's something that you may want to consider, is actually closing all of these and only opening them up as you approach those topics, so that you don't overwhelm students. And then due dates is, again, whatever you wish to be. Aswana?
Yeah, can you show me how to close them? Like if I'm looking-
So I would literally just set them up as, let's say the first day of class for us is the 25th, and then I'm going to set it up to open on, let's say, 12 a.m. And that's it. So this is only going to be available to students from the 25th of August to September 3rd. And let's say I'm covering, this is going to be unit 2 for me. And let's say it's going to be the 3rd week of classes. So I'll go to September 8th. And I'll set it up at 12 a.m. like so. And so it will not open up for students until September 8th. And then I'm going to set this up for, let's say, the Sunday after. So 8th through 14th, 11:59 p.m. So it's a unit checkpoint. It's a quiz. It's closed until we get to it. And it will be open for them only for 1 week. So that's how I would actually go back in there and set all these up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it possible to, when you change, like move things around, is it possible to move contents between modules?
Yes. Same place where what I showed you earlier. We go to manage again and customize content like so. And if you click on them, you can see the individual pages in here. Sorry, let me go back
Or
to
the
my-
modules. Yeah,
What was
they-
that, Hal?
Or the modules. The
Or the
modules, they all have that move button
The
associated
move button,
with them.
exactly. So you can see all the different sections in here, so you can move them up and down if you wanted to,
But
like so.
you could move them to other units if you wanted to.
Okay.
The warning, however, is that the unit checkpoints do not adapt to that. So if you move it to somewhere later in the course, they will encounter a unit checkpoint that has questions on topics that they have not yet covered.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
Yep.
And we have some questions in the
I saw them, yes.
from Robert.
I answered that first one. Robert, was that okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. Devin, did I answer both of your questions? Think we,
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
okay.
And then Robert has a question about OpenStax. Saheba,
Yes.
do you contribute to, are you an actual SME on this? Are you writing questions? I don't recall what you're.
No, I did them for Gen Chem 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not for this
So,
one.
Robert, my understanding is that yes, it started as questions from OpenStax. This course began as an OLI-ification of the OpenStax courses. And we distributed them as Gen Chem 1 and Gen Chem 2. And then they were further adapted from those courses. You know, they were paced and segmented, and we added our own learning objectives and skills and many new questions and activities. And then there was a huge effort to create real chem from Gen Chem, and they added even more questions. So even though the lineage began with OpenStax, it is a very different animal now from OpenStax and has been enhanced greatly. So you will see some common content, but it is I wouldn't really call it a close adaptation anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stuff has been made from scratch for it.
Agreed. There's videos in there, which I really like. In fact, some of the data that I looked at just a few weeks ago, I noticed that I was comparing two sections of mine that were using Real Chem. One was a fully online section, and the other one was a hybrid section. And I noticed that my online section relied or actually participated more with OLI, with the Real Chem, as opposed to the video lectures that I had posted for them. And I thought about that. I was like, I was a little hurt, but I'm like, you know what? That's okay. They're getting the material. And the goal is to learn one way or the other. And then I compared that to my hybrid class. They had slightly lower participation with Real Chem, and they were literally just doing the unit checkpoints. And that's because our lectures were in person. So they got what they needed from me and were able to attempt the problems in Real Chem, which is also okay because the goal is let's learn. So I think it depends the kind of the modality that you may have also, but at least I'm very happy to see that it's a very comprehensive platform for the students to use. And if you rely on this, they will get the information that they need from this course as well. So like I said, I'm not letting this go anytime any soon.
We've got a new question in the chat from
Yes.
Amy.
Can we use these resources a lot? Yes, absolutely. As I said, I am using Pearson as well. And it's primarily for problems. I know for a fact students are not reading the textbook, even though it's an assigned textbook for them. So we use the Central Science as our main textbook here. But to compensate for that textbook not being read, that's why I encourage the participation in Real Chem, because the material is there. It's to the point. There's no fluff in there, which is perfect for them because they want the information given to them in 10 sentences versus 50. So when they open up a page, they get right to the concept, and they're attempting problems. They read a couple paragraphs and they do that. They apply that concept to a problem, and it just kind of helps them reinforce that idea. So yes, so I do use Pearson. My eventual goal is to actually give up on Pearson completely. But the homework, just because I have slightly more problems in Pearson, and I do like to assign a lot of practice problems to students, again, for a bonus grade, I do keep that around. Yes, for sure. What percentage of my class uses a Pearson software? So my Pearson is, again, a homework grade, and the module checkpoints and my Pearson grade all go together in that 10%. So that's what I'm using it. And then eventually, what I'm also considering is making Pearson a bonus for them, and Real Chem as carrying points for these students. But with the bonus, if they complete their Pearson homework, I would add that bonus to their midterms. Again, kind of emphasizing the fact that they should be practicing throughout the semester. And if you're doing well on an exam, that means you've done all the practice. And then I can give you just a little bit extra boost. Let's say you're sitting at a border between a C and a B. It'll give you that boost to a B on a midterm also. So that's kind of the thought that I'm toying around with to see how that would work out in the fall. How do we access what I'm showing? So this thing is set up through my Canvas, and actually Hal can help you set this up through your LMS. We are a Canvas school, so that's what we have. It's in my modules. So whatever the backend stuff is, it's already been done. And when I actually end up putting it through my course, I actually put it as an external tool right here in my modules. And when I click on this, once it's in my modules, it will open up this window, and you want to go to load OLI in a separate window. And that's how the students should be accessing OLI. Does that
Mimi, are you asking a broader question, like as
Yeah.
though you haven't seen Real Chem and you need access to it, or was Saheba's answer what you were looking for?
Yes, that was my question. I'm actually, Mimi is my nickname, but I'm Yokabit Gideon, and I'm from Houston City College.
Ah, nice to meet
Yes,
you.
actually, Karen,
Yeah, I met her.
yeah, referred me. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'll reach out to you separately and get you set up.
Thank you.
You got it.
I have one more question. Those who teach in person, what do you do in the classroom? Like if the students are doing all this like homework, like reading and everything, what do you do in the classroom? Is it solving problems, or what how do you
my classroom usually is lecture and then problems as we go along. So this then would be a supplement to them. So then I would assign the reading grade as a participation grade as well. I'm even considering doing pre-lecture quizzes. That could be one thing that you could do, is so that it covers the material that they should have read before coming to class. And then we can go over the material in the class in a more compact way and not go into a lot of detail. So a little bit of a flipped classroom, but not quite completely flipped. And that way, we put some responsibility on them as well, that you should be preparing for coming to class and listening, basically. Yeah.
So do you use the PowerPoint slides that come
I
with
do.
this?
Yeah. No, I'm not with this one. I made my own.
Okay,
Yes, I made my own.
thank you.
What specifically are the problems that arise if students use Safari? Hal, that's probably your question.
I don't remember discussing that. Was that raised as a concern?
Yeah, when I went on to log on, somewhere I read that you really shouldn't use Safari, that you should use Firefox or Chrome.
I don't know the reason that would have been put in the guidance, but I can look into it. I do know that Safari tends to be the most finicky browser in terms of security settings, and what Saheba mentioned at the beginning with the LMS opening in the same window being problematic is primarily a Safari issue, because Safari is very, very aggressive with protecting students from assets that open in a frame inside of another website. And so quite often they will get blocked and they don't know why, if they're trying to open it up in the frame in their LMS. And I do know that once in a very long while, there are some activities that simply don't load well in Safari, but they load fine in Firefox. But I can't think of any off the top of my head. That's just sort of a one-off that we get with individual students who may have really aggressive privacy settings on their browser, or add-ons for privacy. But I can look into why that may have been the established guidance. I don't have that in my head. Sorry.
And do you have students a lot? I mean, I imagine that a lot of my students are going to be accessing and using the software exclusively on their phones.
Mhm.
Is that problematic, or are there any problems with that?
It is not ideal, but it is not a very big problem. The only real problem with that is when they need to do the large explorations,
Operations, yeah.
which employ the full screen, and that can be difficult when you have fewer pixels or a lot smaller visible area to be able to navigate those really well. Between the explorations and the FET simulations,
Mhm.
it's just the larger the screen real estate, the better they perform. But the platform does work in a mobile environment, and we are working on a new push to even improve that further, knowing that this is the case, that students will likely be using their phones or small tablets quite often. So it will improve. We're actually making it an intentional effort to improve that, but it does work now. It's just not ideal.
And is there any kind of polling software integrated with this at all?
No, there is not. But it's funny that you should mention that. We do have a new LTI consumership capability, so that if you had an LTI tool that you wanted to add to your course, we might be able to arrange for that in the future.
Nice.
It was just released less than a month ago, and that was version 1.0, and there's still a lot of testing to do, and we would like to be able to help folks add tools like that. So if you have one that is LTI capable, we might be able to incorporate it for you.
Yeah, if I get the LTI version of this, will it kick out any other LTIs that I use? Because I currently use iClicker,
Mhm.
and I'm just wondering if that's going to mess that up, if I'm going to have to enter that manually, or I guess I'll figure that out once I get there.
Yeah, that's a really important question that I don't know the answer to yet, because the feature is so new and I don't know the particulars. It's important for me to learn those things over time, but I don't know that yet, because it is so nascent. We just rolled it out and only tested it with a few tools. So we can look into it, absolutely.
Right.
Anything
If
else?
nothing else, we appreciate your time, everyone. I will send this